ഹലോ സജീവൻ സാറേ കേൾക്കാവോ?
യെസ്.
ഓക്കെ ഓക്കെ ഓക്കെ.
ഗുഡ് മോർണിംഗ്.
ഗുഡ് മോർണിംഗ്. ഗുഡ് മോർണിംഗ്. So warm good morning to all of you. With prayers to the Almighty, let us begin today's session. With the Department of Zoology has been organizing the webinar series on marine ecology from 22nd February onwards, and we had many relevant topics. And today is the last session by Dr. Sajeevan TP from Cochin University of Science and Technology. So on behalf of Marathonesius College and particularly Department of Zoology, I extend warm welcome to Dr. TP Sajeevan, who has generously consented to give a session on climate change and biodiversity threat and Arctic perspective. So Dr. Sajeevan TP has been associated with our department or college for many years. He's a very great friend of me. So on behalf of Department of Zoology and all the participants, I welcome Dr. TP Sajeevan to share his lecture on this climate change and biodiversity threat and Arctic perspective. I also welcome all the participants and let it be a grand day for you all. Welcoming all, one and all again, let me conclude, inviting Dr. Sajeevan to share his thoughts. Dr. Sajeevan, please.
Okay, Dr. Selvan, my good friend, thank you very much for introducing me. And it's a great pleasure to be with MA College, because I also was associating with the same college, same department where I worked for 1 year or so. And it's my pleasure to be back to MA College and share some of my research experience and to take some questions if you have at the end of the session. And I thank Dr. Selvan, Dr. Ebi, Dr. I see Madhupal is also there, my senior. So Madhupal, hi.
Hi, Sajeevan. Carry on.
Ajit teacher, and yes, thank you very much for introducing me. And so straight away I go to that topic. And I think we have a heterogeneous population here in this seminar. Being there are postgraduate students, there are BSc students, there are scholars, maybe faculty members. So I find it is a very heterogeneous population. So my lecture will not be that, in a sense, I not going in deep to the scientific aspect of my topic, but the periphery aspects I will discuss mainly because I have 1 hour and so. So if you have any question or something, you can ask at the end of it, or you can mail me or communicate me later on. So let me share my presentation with you. One second. Can you see my slides?
Sajeevan?
Yes.
Clear.
Thank you. So right. So as Dr. Selvan introduced, the topic title goes like this: climate change and biodiversity threat. And it's a perspective from Arctic environment. Okay. And before going to the subject, I hope you might have heard about the term global warming. It's a very common name, common word recently. And what is meant by global warming? It's the increase of Earth average surface temperature due to the effect of greenhouse gases. When we say about greenhouse gases, they are carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrous oxide, methane, etc., etc. So we we have other elements in the Earth atmosphere, but we continuously increase in the concentration of certain gases, which in fact block the temperature or absorb certain temperature from the reflected radiations. So this will keep on increasing the atmospheric temperature. This is generally called greenhouse effect. Okay, so it is a reality that that carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is increasing gradually, maybe exponentially, and there are agencies to study the global warming. As you can see, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change (IPCC) established by the World Meteorological Organization and United Nations Environment Program, and there is a body who study about this climate change and variability. So earlier, before 2000 or beginning of 2000, certain section of researchers or the society started saying that the word climate change and global warming is a bogus one, not having any relevance. Nothing is there. There is no climate change happening, because they say that it is a propaganda of certain group of scientists to draw some money and do some research activities to carry out their activity. But scientific studies proved, and in 2007, IPCC clarified that the statement given by the IPCC says that today the time of doubt has passed. The IPCC has unequivocally affirmed the warming of our climate system, and it's linked to the human activities. Anthropogenic activity are the responsible factor which create this climate change. So that's a fact. Climate change or global warming is a fact. And as I said, it is mainly due to the greenhouse gases produced by the human activities. And if you look at the ratio of the greenhouse gases, you can see carbon dioxide give the lion's share, or maybe 75% or above 75%. The rest is methane and nitrous oxide and fluorinated gases contribute the rest of it. So it's all major share comes from carbon dioxide. Within that, the fossil fuel is one major culprit. So, and if you look at what are the industry or what are the contributors of this carbon dioxide production, mainly it is by the power plants and cement industry being the richest contributor, largest contributor CO2, followed by the automobile industry or automobiles. So if you look at the graph, which shows the increasing trend of carbon dioxide within the atmosphere, you can see it from 1970. Now we reached to 2020, and it is steadily increasing. And there is a slight decrease in 2020. Maybe you can attribute this change or a reduction due to the lockdown. This is a recent paper in Nature Climate Change, and it shows that a reduction. It is due to the world over. We had a lockdown in March, April, and May. So, but once we lifted lockdown, it now started going down. So that is a trend, or this shows the trend of our carbon production. And if you look at the countries who contribute major, it is China being the richest source of carbon emission. That's 23%, followed by USA, and India is also contributing immensely. That is 6% of the total carbon in the atmosphere is contributed by India. And if we take all EU countries, excluding certain other countries, is contribute 13%. So you can see China, India, USA and other EU countries are the one which contribute. It's all from the Nature paper in 2014. Maybe some figure change might happen, but it's a general trend. Okay, so to address this, there was a meeting by UN, and the UN addressed the meeting on it, called that by Ban Ki-moon, the then UN Secretary General. Quote, I put in the quote, humanity has never faced a greater challenge than climate change. That is his word. And the former president of Barack Obama said certain meetings, important meetings, landmark meetings happen in the history of our mankind to protect our environment. Montreal Protocol is related to the CFC protection, that's the ozone hole. We have to mitigate the ozone hole. We will see some of the ozone hole problem in the coming slides. So in 2015, there was a meeting in Paris in 2015, And the Paris, we call it the Paris Agreement or Paris Accord. And what does it say? In Paris, all the world world leaders joined together and made an agreement to that effect, agreement to set a goal of limiting the global warming to less than 2 degrees Celsius compared to the pre-industrial level. So that means we have to reduce the carbon emission. That was a primary and the major decision taken. So it's very highly ambitious, and we don't know how realistic it can be. But there are effort from all the countries. They have to ensure that they stick on the policy, and by the end of the second half of the 21st century, this net zero net anthropogenic greenhouse gas emission to be reached or achieved. That was the ambition that world is having. But unfortunately, certain countries, including America recently, or the Trump administration, withdrawn from the Paris Accord. But the recent Biden administration is committed to agree with the Paris Accord. That shows some good sign that there is something happening in the world over. So that's about the introduction about the climate change and such things. Now we will see, because I have only 1 hour or so, I have 2 sessions in my preparation. One is about the climate change and global warming. Then I will move on to the Arctic environment, where we had a mission in Arctic, and you will be more happy to see the pictures from the Arctic environment and all. So I will go through this part a bit quickly, but without losing its content. Okay, so here, if you look at the impact of global warming, the major impact is the sea rise, rise in sea level. So the world over, the current sea level rise is about 3 mm per year. So you may feel that 3 mm is very negligible, but it is not negligible. See, it is a world over. See, so it's slowly increasing. And what happens after a few years, this is the predicted scenario. That means what will happen at the end of the century? 2.5% of the world population, is about 177 million people, will get affected due to the sea level rise. And even India, 1% population. You know what is the Indian population right now? 150 million. So it will get 1%, mean it's a huge number, will get affected. These are the countries and the population which are going to get affected by the sea level rise, if the sea level continue to rise as like this. So how sea level rise happen? You know, when when the temperature warm, definitely the atmosphere will or the water will take up some of the temperature, or the sea temperature also increases. So the thermal expansion happens. When expansion happens, the water molecule also expand. Okay, so there is a swelling. Not only that, the melting of stored ice caps in the glaciers stored in the Arctic and Antarctic are melting faster and faster. And you see, the 75% of world freshwater is stored in these ice caps. Okay, so once these ice caps start melting, that will flow into the ocean, and it will contribute the sea level rising. And if you look at the Arctic environment, all these pictures are taken by myself, and I thank Selvan for giving his DSLR camera at that time when we went for, and with that camera only we picked these photos. I have few photos to show you later on. And the warming is expected to be strongest in Arctic. So the average temperature in the Arctic region are rising twice as fast as elsewhere in the world. There is an ice albedo feedback, whereby melting ice uncover the darkened land. That's a tundra. We call that this is a dark land. You know, tundra is exposed. This tundra, the land will absorb more heat, and it will dissipate more heat in the atmosphere, which again will increase the temperature in that particular area, which again increase. It's a feedback. Increase the autocatalysis, like we can say, increase the melting faster and faster. So if you look at the ice cover on the Arctic Ocean, and 2014 and 2019, the recent one, we had a lowest Arctic ice. See, you can see this is the Arctic ice, which is present during this period, and this yellow color was yellow line denote the average ice before it was median ice before it up to 2010 is a median ice. This was the original ice area, but it is shrink to a major portion is shrink into this dimension. So if you look at it, the Arctic ice cap is declining at a rate of 9% per decade. Every 10 years, we are losing, not you, we are losing 9% of ice in the Arctic. Okay, so this happened, or this will create pressure. Recently, or we may not be feeling that ice sea level rise in our area right now, but there are countries in Pacific Ocean which started feeling that real pressure, that they started feeling the heat. So this is the president of Kiribati, and he was his country, or his the fellow men started feeling that sea level rise. Some portion of his small island has been already taken away by the sea. So that is one aspect, that is a rise in the sea level. The next important change which caused by climate change is the change in the rainfall pattern. The picture itself depicts everything. We had we had a flooding in Kerala 2018. We never felt, never experienced that much flood or chaos in our state, in our memory, isn't it? So these are all signs of climate change. There was a huge flood in the here, what you call Chennai, few years back, and we have flood in Kerala. We have flood in many places. It's happened. What we say is that unprecedented rainfall. Also, it happens unprecedented drought. These are the two facets of a climate change. If it is a drought, unprecedented drought. If it is rainfall, unprecedented rainfall. Okay. So again, we have seen a few 2 or 3 years back, we had a cyclones in our state, Oki, and few months back we had a alarm or cyclone warning from the government, saying that there is a possibility of another cyclone to hit our land. So we had never have heard about this type of cyclones before. We heard that cyclones are in Caribbean, or we had in America, but never heard about these cyclones in our land. See, this is from Houston, okay? And you see, recently there was a report in paper that in Texas, U.S. Texas, where I lived for 1 year, and Texas is a semi-arid land where we have what you call very hot climate, not like any other eastern states of America. It's a hot climate where we can compare it with sometime with the Delhi climate, where we in June, July. So Texas never experienced a snowfall like this. We had a 1 or 2 or 3 months. That never happened. So now, last week we had a I have some disturbance. Someone switch on the mic, so I request you all, if you please switch off your microphone unless you have any question. Okay, so yeah, so these are all signs of climate change. We are feeling it. That is one thing. Then next one is desertification, expansion of subtropical desert, because we have no rain in some portions and we have increase in desertification. All these things will create pressure on the human as well as on the living things or animals population. So I have just shown the food security and decreasing crop yield just to apprise you that due to this climate change and all, the food production is also coming down, and we have famine happening in many parts of the world. So coming to the coming to the biodiversity loss and species extinction, there was a study in 2004, but it is still relevant. It's in a Nature paper saying that between 15 and 35% of endemic or near endemic non-plants and animal species will be committed to extinction by 2050. And the recent report says that this acceleration is much more faster. So that means the situation is worse than what is predicted. And if you look at the Arctic environment, you can see the biggest predator or the epic predator is the polar bear. Okay, so the polar bear population is coming down just because the polar bear depends on Arctic ice, which is floating on the sea. So this population or the Arctic ice, floating ice population number is coming down because there is no ice on the Arctic. So what happens then? This is a feeding ground for this polar bear. They rest on this Arctic ice cap, and when there is a seal coming on the surface and rest on this ice cap, they feed on it. That is a major ground or feeding ground for this Arctic polar bear. So when you have the Arctic ice reducing, they are losing its feeding ground, or they go starved. Or that is a picture shown by a very famous picture by Paul Nicklin and Christina Matrimev is in the National Geography, saying or showing a pathetic condition of a polar bear, which would ideally look like this, in fact, because they are starving because of no food. So this picture depicts the grave situation what's happening in the Arctic environment. And the next aspect, when I talk about climate change, it is the ocean acidification. You know, ocean acidification is nothing but decrease in the pH of ocean. You know, carbon dioxide dissolve in the water, and it will, once it dissolve in the water, acid of H plus will be produced and consumed by reacting with the carbonate ion. So carbonate ion will be preferably to form bicarbonate ion. When you have removed the bicarbonate ion, what happens is that this carbonate ion is required for the shelled mollusk or those animals or even the corals. They need carbonate ion to build their home or build their body part. Okay, so when you have high pH, also the less carbonate ion, it gives a pressure on the life in the ocean. So if we continue to increase, or if the environment continue to have more carbon in the atmosphere, the predicted pH, the average pH of ocean right now, we can say it's 8.1. Okay, earlier it was 8.2. There is a change of 0.1. Even this 0.1, the point decimal make a lot of sense. If we continue to go like this, at the end of this century or 2100, the average pH will drop to 7.8. Though still it is not acidic, but it will create pressure on the animals, becoming more and more acidic. What will happen if it more and more acidic? This is a possible scenario which may happen in the event of a 2020 or acidic condition environment. So an experiment was performed by certain scientists explaining what will happen to the in the ocean if the carbon dioxide increases, thereby the pH decreases. So if you put a limacina, that's a gyropod, into a water which we have pH or predicted pH of 2100, and after 15 days it start removing its calcium, it start degrading, and after 55 days it almost loses its integrity and structure. So this is what is a predict, just to show the gravity of the problem, what is going to happen if we continue like this. So then you can imagine what will be what happens to our life in the ocean, because most of the ocean, almost every invertebrate, most of them have some skeleton on it, or even the calcium, the bond making process also will not be happening in this. So that shows the gravity of the problem. And researchers indicate that by end of the century, coral reef may erode faster than that can be rebuilt. Then coral bleaching happens. The coral bleaching is a loss of endosymbiotic zooxanthellae through expression. By temperature increases, zooxanthellae is a symbiotic association with the coral, so they get expelled. And once they expel, this a feeding ground will be lost, and it will eventually kill or that particular coral start dying. Maybe you might have seen some underwater picture, beautiful pictures by my good friend Madhupal, who had a real experience underwater. So maybe you have seen some of the corals or bleaching if he had a picture yesterday. So coral bleaching events of 2016 and this year are said to have killed about half of the Great Barrier Reef's coral cover. Okay, so that's all about the impact, what the ocean climate change is going to happen, or the climate change is going to happen. So is there any way out from this thing, or whether we can repair our the world? That is a question we had to ask, and we had to find an answer for that. And we had a problem in Antarctica long back, maybe it is 1985, when British Antarctic Survey team identified a hole in on the ozone. That's the ozone hole. So we are concerned about the ozone hole, and there was a Montreal protocol where I mentioned in the first beginning. And this protocol, or this following that protocol, we reduce or stop or ban the use of CFC, chlorinated flow, that refrigerator gas. CFC is completely banned, because we identify CFC is the one which create the ozone hole in the ozone layer. So now you can see this was earlier one, 2006, and the hole in 2015, or even if you can search in the website, you can see the recent ozone hole. So now it is patching, or the hole is closing down. That shows it is working. Our strategy is working. If we are committed to repair it, we can repair it. Okay, any damage we can repair if we are committed to repair it. So if you have that in mind, we have to take steps to stop the global warming by following some of the strategies. What are the strategies? Strategy one: renewable. Go with renewable energy source, or reduce the use of fossil fuels. And you can increase the efficiency of lighting and efficiency or instruments efficiency by, see this, we have in Cancer lamp which utilize 45 volt those days. Then we have a replacement for that. It is 15 volt CFC, what you call CFL bulbs. Then now we replace it with 6 volt LED bulbs. See the change. So this is a scientific innovation, we can say, discovery, which helped to reduce the usage of electricity, also same time giving more light than the other one. Likewise, we have energy efficient equipments. So we might heard about 5-star, 4-star, like that. When you go for purchasing of any of appliances, you should pay attention to what does it mean. If you have more 5-star, that shows energy consumption is less. So you have, if you have more area, then you have building efficiency. That means we reduce the use of ACs and lightings by making the provisions like vending out the heat, excess heat. So these are the things which harvest or we can harvest the solar energy or wind energy. That is an alternative energy source, and conserve the energy. And in a way we can reduce the pressure on our environment. So we all have bikes or cars and all. So how about using electric car rather than using fossil fuel car? So this is an initiative happening everywhere. In India, we don't have much use of these electric cars, but it will be coming soon. We have in other countries, if you visit, they have good numbers of electric cars on the street. So they reduce the emission. Low carbon sustainable rail transport. This is the importance of a public transport system. We have to have metros, we have to have long public transport systems. Rather than everyone using their own car, we have to switch over to sustainable rail transport or public transport system. So you might have heard about the term carbon footprint. What do you mean by carbon footprint? The carbon footprint is the amount of greenhouse gas, which is primarily carbon dioxide, released into the atmosphere by a particular human activity. When I say human activity, I came to my office by driving. Okay, so when I come by bus, the number of people in the bus will be the sharing environment will be high. When number is maybe 20 or 50, so we all share one vehicle. So we share that particular carbon emission. But if the 50 people drive their own, the emission will be high. This is what I mean. So everything, whatever we do, we create a pressure or we leave a footprint. That is a carbon footprint in our atmosphere. We release certain carbon into the atmosphere. That's what carbon footprint. How to reduce the carbon footprint? That should be our objectives. Or everything covers here. You can go through it and see. We have to take steps to reduce the carbon footprint. See, for example, I will tell you one example here. We all eat in Kerala. We all eat rice. We have paddy fields, but we may not be we may not be cultivating our crops here. We primarily depend on Andhra or Punjab and so and so. They are cultivating, and what happens is that the cultivation, there is a carbon footprint. Here, if you cultivate here, there is also carbon footprint. The number of tractors used and the people worked on, everything creates some carbon. But the carbon footprint in transporting the material from, or the rice from Punjab or the Haryana into Kerala, you consider that. How much emission or carbon dioxide is expelled into the atmosphere by transporting the material from Punjab to Kerala. Whereas in the same, if you can cultivate the same crop here, you are reducing that transportation cost. You are reducing that carbon footprint. So this is what I mean. We have to have an eye on the carbon footprint, whatever we do. So then only we can reduce. Effortfully, we have to reduce the carbon emission. Okay. Any event or organize any type of activity we conduct, we unknowingly emit carbon into the atmosphere. That's a carbon footprint. That's called carbon budget. So we have to take steps to reduce the carbon budget or carbon footprint. How you can reduce? These are some of the options which is given here. You can reduce it by using live car free, by using electric car, or reduce the air transportation by yourself. If you can avoid, you can better you avoid it. Renewable sources, public transport system. So all these things are some digits shown here, which says that if you take steps, then you can reduce the carbon emission. You might have heard about Bhutan. Bhutan is a country where it's a carbon below neutral. Carbon neutral means carbon zero. Whatever carbon produced is consumed by the country. Who is consuming? The primary producers, the plants. They fix the carbon, right? So there is a net zero. That's called the carbon neutral. Our only country in the world, if you look at the carbon neutral chart in the website, you can see that Bhutan is the one which is below the zero. That means carbon negative. All other countries are above. And we, in the Paris, as per the Paris Accord, what we said we all will be making carbon neutral by the second half of this century. India is committed to say that by 2050 we will be carbon neutral. It is really ambitious, but I don't know how realistic we are going to do that. I have some speculation about it. Okay. So this is a half an hour completed. So we do not inherit the earth from our ancestor. We borrowed it from our children. So we have to give it back to our children in the same condition what the way we got it. And the greatest threat is that we believe that someone else will come and save it. It is not someone else. It is we who have to save our planet. Okay, so this is all about the first half of my presentation to show the importance of climate change and how climate change is going to affect our the population or our the living things in our Earth. So the next half, I will be giving a short intro. I mean, pictorial is like a travelogue. Okay, it is more of pictures and the things which you may appreciate. So here we have an Arctic monitoring program. In case having not only Arctic, we have Antarctic program as well. But I have been to Arctic Ocean or Arctic environment for as a part of this program. So why we are concerned about Arctic? As I said, Arctic is warming and stronger than any other place. As I said in the earlier slides, the average temperature in the Arctic regions are rising twice as fast as they are elsewhere in the world. So that I mentioned ice albedo feedback also. So where is Arctic? So here we are. This is Kerala. Okay, this is India. Okay, so from here, our trip we go to the Goa. Goa is the headquarters of our National Polar Ocean Research Station that is under Ministry of Earth Science. This Ministry of Earth Science, we send, or the India government send people or researchers to Arctic environment here. Okay, this is a place where we are going. This is Arctic Circle. Hope you can see my slides here. So this is Norway. This land is Norway, and this is Sweden. Okay, as we go more forward, this is Norway, and this is the island where we went. This we call Longyearbyen, Svalbard. We call it a Svalbard island. Okay, this is a Greenland. All right, so some more closer view. This is the Arctic Ocean, Arctic Circle. This is the North Pole, except North Pole. This is a Greenland, and this is the place where we went to sample and study our Arctic environment. Okay, this is some more clear picture to show. This is an island we call Svalbard. This is Norway. So Svalbard, formerly known as Spitsbergen, is a Norwegian archipelago in the Arctic Ocean. It's under the control of Norway, in fact, but it has a autonomy, or we call it as there is a separate administration for this particular Svalbard, but it's controlled by Norway. Okay, Svalbard is the northernmost place in the Earth where a permanent population is human population. Human population is only up to a certain point. We call Longyearbyen. Longyearbyen is the largest settlement at the administrative center of Svalbard. After Longyearbyen, there is no population. There is no in Longyearbyen, we may have nearly 2,000 plus population only, mostly Norwegians, and we could see one Indian or few Indians also there, and one Sri Lankan also there in that community. They're working as a helper. There is a research institute called UNIS, University of Norwegian. Something like that. Okay. Sorry. So approximately 60% of the archipelago is covered with glaciers. Glaciers means ice, permanent ice. And island features mountains and fjords. Fjords are nothing but it's a long, narrow inlet ocean. We can say it's like our backwater. Okay, where in backwater we know the Cochin backwater consider it is a shallow somewhat, but a fjord is a sharp edges are there. Okay, it's cliff with cliffs and steep sides created by glacial erosions with full of rocks. So the first thing is that you will reach Norway first from Delhi or Mumbai, you flew to Oslo. You stay on Oslo, and you go to from Oslo you go to Tromsø. Tromsø is also part of Norway. From Norway, from Tromsø, you have to exit from the plane. It's the same big plane, Boeing goes there. Then you have to exit from that there, and you had to stamp your passport that you are exiting from Norway. But the funny thing is that you are coming back to the same flight. Okay, and this flight will take you to the Longyearbyen. That's the island. I said this one. This is Norway. This is somewhat Tromsø. From this Tromsø, this will take you to Longyearbyen. Up to this point, we go by flight. This Longyearbyen, you can see, there's a, or from there you can see how much kilometers are there. It's not okay. There is a beautiful thing we call the global seed vault. This is something you can search internet and see that this global seed vault is a storehouse of the plant seeds collected from all over the world. If you have some seeds in your locality, if you lose sometimes in the future, that a part will be there, a portion will be there in the global seed vault probably. It is funded by Bill Gates Foundation and all, so they store it for the humankind or mankind in the future. This is a Longyearbyen. Certain tourists come over here. There is only very less people who live there. That is 2,000 something like that, and you will stay here for overnight. From here, you move on to Indian Arctic Station. Where you go, there is a small Donair flight. Okay, this Donair flight, we get into this. It's a small flight where only 10 to 12 people can board in, and this will take you to the Arctic Station. Arctic Station is located in New NY. We call it New, or they call it as New, or Ålesund. New Ålesund. O is O, Ålesund. Okay, New Ålesund. So that is the Arctic Station where we of India. It's our team. We had a 6-member team that time, and we visited in 2014 in June and in between July 2014. So here, important thing is that Arctic has a law. I mean, is a polar environment has 24 hours of daytime during the summer, and during winter it is 24 hours of darkness. That means summer start by April, May, June, July somewhat. So all these days, throughout the day, we will have sun over us. That means it is like this. Sun is everywhere. There is no darkness. It looks like daytime. But the heat might not be that high. It will be somewhat cold. You will feel the cold, but sun will be there. The reverse is true. In winter, we have full time dark and full of snowing. That's a peculiar condition. Okay, so we have, as I said, we have an Arctic Station. We started in 2007. The Indian scientific endeavors in the Arctic region began in 2007 at New Ålesund. And in 2008, we established a research base. We call it Himadri. Okay, it is an understanding between the Norwegian Polar Institute, and this is our Himadri Indian station. Now, we are a member in that New Ålesund Science Managers Committee, and all these activities are coordinated by NCPR, National Center for Polar and Ocean Research, Goa. Okay, so Indian Arctic Scientific Program. What we do there, we have a monitoring of Kongsfjorden. Kongsfjorden is the like the Cochin backwater. We have a backwater. We can say it's a fjord. It's a fjord. We monitor the physical, biological, chemical, atmospheric, and geological aspects of this particular environment or this fjord. What are the changes, long-term changes due to climate change? What are the biological changes? What are the physical changes? So I'm not going into deeper of this type of studies we can do. I just give you an overall idea about what are the things we do there. And you can see the glaciers. This is a glacier. The glacier is nothing but a solidified river, we can say. A river which got solidified. Which is draining into the fjord. This is the glacier. Okay, so this is an aerial footage of the New Alisant. You can see small buildings. I will give a small introduction about these buildings in coming slides. These are all earlier. It has a long history. Okay, this is an Indian station. And we are not alone here, okay? We have so many others around us. This is a community. This is a small community, you can say. And this community is maintained and managed by a company called Kings Bay. It is owned and operated by New Alisant. New Alisant has 4 months of polar nights: November, December, January, February. And 4 months of midnight sun: May, June, July, August. This is the time where we used to go there mainly. Summer months. Winter months we may not go there. Still there are people living there, this King Bay, and some researchers working on winter months, but we never go during winter months. It's a full 100% darkness all over. Okay, so this New Alisant has a history. It was originally a coal mining community and today a center of international Arctic science research and environment monitoring. And it was, as I said, it was a mining history there. It started in 1961 up to 29. They have first mining period. Then after they have lent out it for polar expedition. You might have heard about Roland Amundsen attempted to reach further north in a seaplane. And 1924 it's a balloon-like plane, and reached up to 88 degree north. This particular point where we are staying here is a 79 degree north. Okay, still we can go up. So Amundsen went up to 88. And even in 2026, Amundsen and 2 others flew over the North Pole and landed in Alaska, because that means they covered the North Pole. And in 2028, Amundsen went for a rescue operation of some of his friends somewhere stranded in the Arctic region. He went in another balloon or airship. Unfortunately, he never returned. We lost him. And some of his remnants are like his bags and so his returns, his tools and everything have been stored in one of the museum. He converted one of his building into a museum, and it is exhibited in that museum. We have a museum here. As I said, there was a mining period happening, and then after the second mining started in 1945 to 1963. Again, there is a mining because there was a huge demand for the coal after the World War. But this mining, they stopped because of 2 reasons. The difficult, harsh environment made it non-profitable. Also, there was a disaster, mining disaster in 1962, where 21 people were killed in an explosion in mines, and the bodies were never recovered. So they closed down the mines and everything is stopped. The mining activity stopped. This is a small train where they build a tram and all like these things to collect the coal from the mine and transport to the ship. Now, nearby there is a ship embarkment where it transported. The ship will take to other part of the world. So they stopped the mining activity in 1962. Sorry, 1962. Then they were started thinking about converting it to a research station. The first research station was put up by Norwegian Polar Institute in 1968. followed by Alfred Wagner Institute, the German, this AV, the setter, and followed by British, Japanese, Netherlands, Italian, French, Korean, Chinese, Indian station at the end we have. So all these countries have owned some of the buildings. It is a renting building. Okay, we are paying heavily for this Norwegian institute for giving the accommodation or facility for this. We never purchase it. We cannot purchase it. Okay, we are paying every year for this. Okay, now there is another important thing here: Norwegian satellite telemetry station and Norwegian Polar Institute, now Sverdrup station. And the beauty of these things is that all these stations welcome every researchers. If you reach there, you need to have certain things in your things means you should get the permission from the Norwegian Institute first or the King's Bay first that you are reaching there or you are going for to study these and these things for India. Once you reach there, you have the access to all the life in Arctic is very peculiar. I will give some of the details. Okay, so here this is Indian Arctic Station. The doors of all institute, all building are open forever. There is, even though there is a door, it never lock. The thing is that there is a potential danger in Arctic environment. The danger with the polar bear. You can expect polar bear in this locality at any time. So you have to make sure that you have a hiding place or you have to run away from the polar bear, because you cannot fight with the polar bear because it's a huge animal. It having it run. They say that it run faster than Usain Bolt. That much faster they are. So you cannot beat them. Only thing, if you see them, you hide wherever possible. If it is a near building, you get into the nearby building. And also, if you are going out, you are supposed to carry gun with you, and you are trained in such a way to how to use a gun. I will show some of the picture later on. You will get trained and you will be certified that you can use gun machinery in the event of a danger. Also, remember, polar bear is an endangered species. You cannot simply shoot them. If you shoot them and kill them, first thing is that you will be under bar. You will be in jail. You have to prove your innocence that it came to kill me or it came to harm me. Then you have to prove it in the court that your life was in danger. Then that's why you killed it. Otherwise, you cannot. Though even you have a gun and all, you cannot. So only thing is that you frighten the animal away by shooting on the by using some color gun. Is there? You can use it for frightening that and keep it away from your vicinity. There are guards to help you out. Okay. So I mean to say, all the buildings are open for you all. That doesn't mean that you can go there and unnecessarily spend it. No, you have to show what purpose you went there. This is a Chinese station, but we have some portion of this we owned it. This is an atmosphere station we have. It's a new one in our occupied by ourselves. Okay, this is also our weather station in Arctic. This is called a Zeppelin Mountain, and over the top of this mountain, there are Japanese researchers doing some atmospheric studies, and there is a Zeppelin line. That means go down where you can go up and down to that line. So you may wonder what are the facilities we have in this center. We have limited numbers of cars available for transporting our research substance or maybe your equipments and so on. So this is a common building. The food and accommodation up to 180% they can accommodate all this area. No, internet and the telecommunication facilities there, but no mobile and no Wi-Fi is available. It's a radiation free zone, no radiation. And there is a marine lab where you can do some of your research activities there. And there is a small airport through which we flew down into this station. As I said, the Donair flight, a small down air flight. Okay, or almost coming to close. There's a cargo handling. There's a small gymnasium. There is a library. These are the team where we went that time. Some of the scientists from NCPR, some are from NIOT, Dr. Krishnan, and some of our colleagues. So, and we have a very good, the good thing is that you will find a cross section of the world scientific community there. Many researchers from various countries come over there and they share their experience and we share our experience. There is a good interaction and this scientific discussion going on. A very good place to have some nice tie-up or collaborations. Okay, so you will see that you may wonder. I wanted to see this particular thing on the table on the mess hall. It's Telicheri black pepper. Telicheri means Talasheri. Our Talasheri black pepper reach in the Arctic. So it is very famous. I just want to share that happy moment with you. Okay, we have a TV room. We have that time when I was there. That is the time for World Cup football, where all the nations were here or different countries. We enjoyed really in that company. So we have other activities like scooter for going through the snow. We have boat cruises sampling. This is Dr. Krishnan sampling in the fjord. And the good thing is that there was a post office. You may wonder what it means. Because this was once upon a time, this was a coal mine area. So people used to send their letters to their family back home. So that was the purpose of this particular post office. Now, just for a decoration or decorative purpose, they maintain that post office still there. And even if you can get an inland card from here, they will sold and they will sell you, and you can get the card and can post here, and they will take next flight, or maybe flight never comes daily, once in a week. That small flight, it will take you, and the post will be taken to your land. I send 2 or 3 letters to my family, and we preserve it in our home as a token of memory or a memento. Okay. All right. So some pictures in the when you go to the sampling, you will see some of the pictures like this with different shapes of this, and a huge, very huge Kong Spring, because this is a huge glacier, and the research vessel is sampling something there, studying something. I don't know who is that and what they're doing, but this is a research vessel sampling there and doing some work. So this is again is a glacier coming into the sea. And if you see the picture of fauna and flora, it is the tundra. This is the tundra, means after summer or the middle of summer, all the snow will melt out. The land will expose. Then small the bird seal. Then we went for a sampling. We could see this is a polar. I got the opportunity to see a polar bear, which I have a picture to show you. Not picture, a movie to show you. Later on, I will show you. This is not my picture, but all the others are my own pictures. It's a reindeer. You might have seen the reindeer in our Christmas Papa, which is coming in during winters, December. Okay. Just to show you what are